crayons underneath it, and then you take a black crayon and go over the whole thing, and then take something and scrape it, a picture on it.
Yes.
I did that too.
I remember doing that.
Where do you get the supplies? Where do you have to get it from?
You can get it in Michael's,
Oh, okay.
but I mean, I would recommend if you're using internet, everything is cheaper online. I mean, especially dickblick.com.
Yeah.
They don't pay me, but that's the cheapest one I could find online. That's pretty cheap. But for these kind of things, Amazon has the fiberglass brushes and the surgical scalpel, tattoo needles. All those things are cheap in Amazon. And I go for when Dick Blick has those 20% and 30% off sale.
They have a store in Berkeley. I'm going up there.
Oh, there is one out there. Yeah, that's true.
I don't want to take up another art. I'm Friday. With Hilda.
Am I blocking the view?
No.
I mean, what I'm doing now is mostly just like what you do in a paper, on a graphite paper and charcoal maybe. Just like instead of drawing on a white paper with black, whatever medium it is, I'm doing the exact opposite.
Notice you're holding your scratcher quite vertically.
Yeah, it gives me more pressure, yeah. I mean, ideally you're supposed to hold it like a pen. This is just a makeup brush which helps me remove the ink. Yeah. Huh? I mean, I find this is very useful when I do the graphite one also, because if you try to use your hand to remove the eraser things, after you use the eraser, it makes it dirty, and this does it cleanly. Okay. If you notice, my hand has become black now from the inks. I usually keep a paper between my hands and this one, but that might block what you have seen. So, okay, so now removing the black. Okay, let me see if I can do this, and you can see better. No.
Is that like a ball scraper or something that you're using?
This is called a fiberglass brush, and this is used in automotive industry to remove rust. So it's very abrasive. I mean, if you do this, you'll start losing blood. So it's very sharp, very fine bristles. I mean, if you look at it, you won't see that it's as scary as a knife, but this is equally dangerous, and it has sharp bristles that can go deep in your body if you're not careful.
What did you put?
It's a fiber glass brush. It's a fiberglass. Fiberglass is a material that plastic kind of material, right?
Why do they use it in automobile?
To remove rust, like when it gets iron gets rusted, they use it to remove the rust.
Good to know. Oh, my car.
Yeah, this one cost around $10 in Amazon. This brush that I'm using. Okay. Okay, so if you notice now, I removed most of the white from the eyes so that I can start coloring it now. I can color it either with just ink. Right. This is the palette paper. So just so that I can mix my colors in here. I use it for acrylics also. You can use the same thing instead of and you can throw it away once you're done. I use my airbrush initially. Is it okay if this has some color on it?
I can get you some paper towels.
Yes, maybe that's better. Or I have some paper towels.
I've always seen those, but I don't know what I would use those airbrushes for.
What is that?
I've seen those sold, but I've never really.
I mean, if you guys want, I cannot use I don't have to use the airbrush. I can use the regular. I mean, it's easier for me if I use the airbrush. I already got some, but thank you because I might have to need it for cleaning. Thank you.
What would you use if you didn't use the airbrush?
What is it?
Brushes?
Just regular brushes.
Regular?
Yeah, I have some. Yeah, I'll use the regular brushes also. So these kind of brushes, the regular paint brushes, what you use for oil and acrylics, but I mean not with this. I mean if you use it for this one, I use them interchangeably with acrylics, but never with oil. Okay, so this is my water bottle. Put a few drops of water in it. And the eyes have a base color of yellow, so let me start with the yellow. So 2 drops of yellow is good enough, I guess. Can you see the yellow? Okay. So I removed the ink and I'm putting some green ink.
What color is that?
This is green.
Green, okay.
And that's good enough. Huh?
I don't think I'm steady enough.
I mean, you don't have to be very steady about this. The good thing about this is that even if you go outside it, it doesn't matter. This is like coloring in a kid's book, right? You have those borders and whatever you paint, it goes inside. Even if you go into the black area, it won't show up that much. Because the black will cover it. So it's okay even if you go outside you don't need to have a very steady hand. What is it?
You're not going to wipe off the overspray?
No, never. It's okay. There's no way to wipe off anything. You have to scratch it off. If you have to remove ink, that's the only way. But if it is border is all black, you can't see it anyway, so it's okay.
How did you get interested in this?
When I said beginning, I posted something online. One of my graphite or charcoal, I don't remember, but it was a dog's picture and the background was all black and somebody asked me if it was Scratchboard. That was 7 years ago, and then I searched online what is the Scratchboard and I learned everything online. So this is basically pink, but because we already have yellow in there, it's going to be red or orangish. What was that? Did you ask?
I was just talking
Oh,
about
sorry. Okay.
airbrush. Artists use airbrush a lot for commercial artists. And one of the applications we have here in the village is, I think, maybe you'll tell me if I'm right, is those paintings that were put in the clubhouse. Those are airbrush, okay? That technique.
They're in that were
Art
or
in the clubhouse.
in the restaurant? part?
Yes,
The really bright landscape?
Yes.
They could be, they definitely
they
could be.
look like it. They're
Yeah.
so flat.
Because they're flat color.
I love those pictures.
How much does an airbrush cost?
Oh, airbrush comes in all kind of prices like Harbor Freight. You know Harbor Freight.
Yeah.
They are a tools company. They have one with the whole thing, with the brush plus the compressor. I mean, these are two different things. One is a brush, and you need the compressor also. You get everything under like $90. You get everything. And or you can go to this one. This is the Japanese. It's called Iwata. I don't know how it is pronounced, but I pronounce it Iwata. It's a Japanese name. They have the best ones. I mean, they can run up to like $200 to $3,000, I guess. I mean, it's up to how much level of. Yeah, but I don't go for the high end one. So I put after the pink one, or what do you call it, carmine red. I put some brown in here so that I want towards the edges I want it darker, so I have put a little bit of brown in there.
Now, wouldn't you ordinarily do both eyes at the same time, or you?
I mean,
just
I don't have any kind of method I just go crazy. Whatever I feel like, I just do it.
Well, but I was just thinking if you did the yellow first and both eyes, then you wouldn't have to go back and do yellow again.
Right, but it's airbrush. It takes me 30 seconds to clean up. So it doesn't, I mean, for me it's easier to go from one side to other, or I can do both eyes, but I mean, it depends upon what I feel like at that time. I usually start with an eye. That's always my starting point, because if your eyes are not good, there's no point of continuing. So I start with the eye. If I like the eye, I go with the other sides. But I need not always finish both eyes.
But then, do they turn out the same?
Yeah, because it's only 6 colors in here, so I can't go wrong.
Can't mess it up?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's good to have a little bit difference. I mean, if everything is the same, it will look like a cartoon. Okay, that's enough brown. So, I mean, as of now, it looks very dull because there's no highlight. It's just flat. It has all those colors in there. It will start popping out once I add the highlight, but I need some more yellow in there. Let me put some yellow. I can see that the yellow is actually the vibrant color in there, which brings it out. But before that, let me do some scratching. Okay. So, ideally, if you are using a regular ink brush to do this, you wait for some time for it to dry. But airbrush doesn't make the surface that wet, so I can start scratching immediately. So, oh, sorry. So I'm just like drawing lines in the eyes, in the shape of the eye. It's like the sun, right? Sun. When you were kids, you draw the lines around the sun. So I'm doing it so that when I apply the next layer of yellow, it goes inside this and makes it the yellow brighter. So now I can put the yellow. I'll use the airbrush again. Oh, am I covering my? I have a big head, I know. I'm putting a little bit more red. Oh, okay, enough color. It's always important if you're using an airbrush to clean it immediately. Otherwise, the ink will dry up and then you'll have to end up doing like 30 minutes of cleaning afterwards. So.
Are there other people doing your technique?
Not many people use coloring in their boards.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of people trying to use it. They ask me how I do it, and I try to tell them how I do it. But it's not a very common medium. Hopefully, more people will try.
Seems like it'd be a great article in an art magazine
Yeah.
and cover.
Okay, yeah, but you need somebody who knows how to write stuff. Okay, so this is, I'm going to put the color back in. I mean, sorry, the highlights, not the color. Oh, am I covering it again?
There you go.
Now it looks like an eye, kind of, right?
Yes.
So I can now add more details. Let me show you how I do it with regular. So a couple of drops of ink on the paper. I need green, I need blue. So every white that you see is not really white. I try to add a touch of some other color on top of it, because this highlight, even though it looks white, it's not really white. I'll try to add a little bit of blue in it. I leave the brightest white only for like really bright stuff, which usually is not the highlight in the eye. So ink, if you can't see, this is drops of ink, drops of water mixed it together. Just regular paintbrush. Like really diluted. I don't think you can see in the video that there is actually a small difference. I forgot to bring a cup to wash the brush. Nila? That's okay. I can wash it using this.
I can run into the art room and get.
No, I'm fine. I'll just wipe it. I'm okay. Thank you. Okay. More greens. So let me get a fine brush. A finer brush somewhere. Okay. So this is a regular art brush, but with like a very fine edge, tip. So I'm going to add some green highlights, green lines to it. So this is just regular painting, more not scratchboarding. This is mainly regular paint, like how you do an acrylic painting or an oil painting. And then you get to add the final highlight, which is using this is another scratching tool I use. This scoops up a lot of ink. It's like a, what do you call it, a nib. It comes off like this, it's like this. So I just put it in a holder. It's like a calligraphy pen kind of thing. And this helps me define the edges more crisply. I can also use use a knife to do it. Okay, so I guess I'm okay with the. Okay, that's for the eye. So now it's up to me to start doing other stuff, like other places, and scratch the fur or the. Do cats have fur or fur? Right? Yeah. Cats have fur.
Yes.
Dogs have fur. I know. Cats have fur. But when you scratch it in the direction of how the fur looks like. So never straight lines, because you don't find straight lines in the face. Everything is like there is an angle, and it should be, your hand should be moving in the same direction. So if it is like this, you don't draw it straight. You drew like curved, and you put your hand in there, make that like a compass kind of thing, and then you twist it. So that if you try to do it like this, it won't work. So you keep your hand steady, move your wrist a little bit like this. Usually I get a lot of questions, and I never go past this stage, but looks like you're a very quiet bunch of people.
We try.
Yeah, usually there are a lot of questions. I don't get to go past one eye, but I can keep going till you guys want to see it. I live in South San Jose, near Hillier Park. That's my wife Jasmine behind. She always comes for my demos.
Good one.
My kids, usually we drag them too, but today they have school, so they didn't have to come, so they are happy about it.
They reach that age, huh?
Yeah.
Do they do this with you?
They do. My daughter does some kind of anime. That's the craze among kids. My son tried to do some things I did, and he lost interest. They're more interested in their computers and TV shows and. I don't know. I don't think they're millennials, right? Millennials. That's a generation over, right?
Millennials are older now.
Yeah, they're also old now. Yeah. Yeah, like I said earlier, I go any particular way I want to. There's no set rules that I follow.
So do you do this full time, or do you have another
Oh
job?
no. I'm a software engineer. I'm a stereotypical Indian who is a software engineer. Yeah, you can't live off art. I don't know about you guys, but
Just checking, see if
yeah, I have a full-time job. I took the I took a half day off today for this demo.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Oh, sure. I mean, I can do work any day, but demos and art stuff is not that often.
So how often do you get to do this on the side?
I did not, I mean, I don't usually get time to do enough art. So what I did in which year? 2016, I decided, okay, I'm going to do one piece every day. And I did. And like that piece I did, that I started it in one day. I had to come back and finish stuff in there. The duck out there, the swan that I have in there is also started in like that. So I decided to do every day, and I come home after work and do it.
Oh,
Wow.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We have some fake ones like that on a little pond.
Fake ones.
It chases away
Yeah.
the
So
big geese, yeah, they don't like swans.
right. So unless I mean, you always have time, but you have priorities, right? You decide what is your priority, and you sacrifice some other things for art. So this way, I decided, okay, I'm going to do it, and I was able to do it for 1 month. And I thought maybe I should do the whole year, and I was able to finish the whole year. And that year had 366 days because it was a leap year. So I had to do 366 instead of 365. I have this big pile of boards at my home because I have not finished them and I've started them. But that gave me a lot of learning experience, because after
If you didn't like some of your white lines, would you fill it in with black?
yeah, I can use the airbrush to cover it up, or a regular brush.
Yeah.
But like the purist, like the lady and the boy out here, that's just scratching, no color addition. So they don't usually. I mean, there are different. Even in this, there's a few people who does it, and even among them there is different divisions as to what is a real scratchboard and what not. So some people say that it should be a purely subtractive medium, which means you can only scratch, never add anything to it. There are others who say that you can add but only black ink, and there are other people say you can add but undiluted ink. So they have so many different, what do you call, ideologies, and what is pure and what is not pure. And for me, it's all, they are defining it to fit their own style instead of making it more available for everyone. So I do whatever way I want to. I don't go by the rules.
You color outside the line.
I color outside the lines, and I actually do color outside the lines.
Did you use sandpaper on that one of the mother and child?
No, that's purely surgical scalpels. That takes hours and hours to do it.
The background, kind of, the soft,
No,
where it fades away. How did you get that effect?
that is all. It's called feathering. It's a knife. So, like,
Exactly.
this is an art knife, or I can do the X-Acto knife. So what it means is that nothing is gray. It's black and white, but if you do the lines with a little bit of distance between the lines, it looks gray. So towards the lightest point you bring the scratches closer, and towards the edges you make it thinner. That's how you get like a fading effect. But that one takes a lot more time than this method.
Yeah.
But you won't win in a Scratchboard art show without that kind of technique, because that's what they look for, the finer details, the precision, not the colors, and not how pleasing it is to the eye. It's the technique and how detailed it is, and they can see that, okay, they're also a Scratchboard artist, how much time you have spent doing the small tiny things. And I don't do that anymore. It's too much work.
Well, they didn't appreciate Van Gogh either, so, and a lot of other artists when they were alive. Now we appreciate it.
I can keep going, or do you want me to explain the tools that I use? I can probably go with my other tools. So this is a tattoo needle. I heard some of you were interested when I say it's a tattoo needle. Basically, it's a small piece here. Can I see it? I'll put it here. That's a tattoo needle. There are different, tattoo needle.
Wow.
Oh,
So-
for giving tattoos?
Yes, but there are different kind of tattoo needles. Like this is one where it has multiple needles, so that they have to use a lot of inks. So this one has dirty. That's why you can't see it. Let me clean it up. Okay, so I think you can't still clean that. But you have multiple tattoo needles that I use. I didn't bring any others. Oh, this one. This one is also a tattoo needle. Let me open it up. It has a long thing. I break it off and I put only the edges, and I put it in knife. Art knife kind of thing, so that it's easier for me to use.
It looks like it has multiple tips.
Yes, it has. So these are individual tips that you can see here, and it helps me cover a lot more area. But you have tattoo needles with just one point also, if you need it. But I can get the same effect using a knife, so I don't use a single pointed one. It's easier for me to use this multiple ones because it gives you parallel lines, and it's good for cross hatching.
For what?
Cross hatching.
Oh, yeah.
So that's what I use the tattoo needles mainly for. Let me show you what tattoo needles can do. And this one can give you the faded effect that you were asking earlier. So let me see which area can I do faded effect. So let me do it here. Can I see it? Okay. Can you see it?
Yeah, it's a lot lighter.
Yeah. You can also this is a brass same thing, but with brass bristles on top of it. You get it in Home Depot. This is also for some kind of cleaning, I guess. But you can use it for different effects. Like for example, for drawing fur.
Oh, yeah.
And it gives you that, and it has multiple tips at the end of it, so you can use it. Basically anything that you can use it which is sharp enough and has multiple bristles, you can use for scratching. I wish I had brought some sandpaper. I could show you, or steel wool. I didn't bring either of them. But those are also, like, if you want to remove ink from a larger area, you can use steel wool. And steel wool also have it in different texture. Like you have very fine ones, you have thick ones. So if you, depending on what kind of surface you want to, what kind of effect that you're going for, what is the material that you're drawing. If you're drawing a cloth which is like a woolen cloth, then probably steel wool is good because it gives you the same kind of texture. Basically, I go to Home Depot and see which is like. When I go to Home Depot, I can see what are the things there. There are many things that I can use, which I get from hardware stores. Okay, so far whatever you've seen are not precise tools. These are the things that I use to do like your understudy. Always the finishing touches are done by the knife. That gives you the sharpest edges and gives you like a professional finish kind of thing. It gives you the finest detail. So all these things will be covered up by the finer scratches. So for example here, where I have done the scratching, I'll go over with the knife.
That's an X-Acto knife?
This is not an X-Acto knife, this is a art knife. It also has a small knife kind of thing at the end of it. It's very small. It looks like an X-Acto knife, but it is much smaller.
Okay.
It gives you a sharper effect. So compared to that, this is an X-Acto knife, which is bigger than that. And this is a surgical scalpel, which, let me show you all of them side by side. So the darkest one is a X-Acto knife. This is a surgical scalpel. And
The surgical what?
surgical scalpel.
Okay.
I don't know how you pronounce it. Is that right? Scalpel. Yeah. And this is a knife that I use, which is my favorite one, which is the smallest one. And you get this in Amazon.
And it's called?
An art knife, I guess.
Okay.
I can't find a good name for this. It's just there in Amazon,
Okay.
and they call it art knife. Oh, I think I messed it up. No, I'm putting it in the wrong one. This is the right holder for this one. This is the box for the art knife. It comes in boxes like this.
Then you have to figure out how to open it.
Yeah, it comes in boxes like this. I don't have the boxes for the other ones. This is what I'm using. It's a Scratchboard. And this is a pre-made one, which is 8 by 10. I mean, if they pack it very well, and it's solely for this one, but it costs you more if you buy separate pieces. I buy the big one and cut it into smaller pieces. So I have what, 10 more minutes?
No, I just was gonna open the door to get a little air.
Okay.
How do you cut it that you don't
I-
get a jagged edge and
I have a
chip off?
I have a table saw. So but it's not very smooth. I don't know whether you can see it from this. It's not very smooth in the edges. But you're framing it, so you won't see it. So it's okay even if it is not that smooth. But my table saw is pretty good, so it's okay. I mean, some people just use a hand saw to saw it, and that is more rugged than the table saw.
And more labor intensive.
Yes.
So you're buying it with the clay on and the ink on?
The Scratchboards, yes.
Yeah.
But that's not my main medium. So whatever you see, most of the things that I'm working on now, like this chicken over here. This is our chicken Misa. Let me remove the. So this is our chicken. Her name is Misa. Misa. That's yeah. She lays eggs every day, I think now.
How long time do you take for to be?
This one, probably like 5 hours, 4 hours, 6 hours. I don't remember. Yeah, these ones are easy because that one, the lady out there, that's the complicated one. That take me 25, 30, 35 hours to do it.
How long does that take?
This one,
Yeah, the two.
5 hours, 4 5 hours maybe.
Did you start on black paper with that?
No, this is white. So this one, this is the white clay. This is the clay board, which comes. This is white. This says
What's brown underneath?
this is a Scratchboard.
Oh.
So this is a Scratchboard, which is this is a board which is masonite. Masonite is the hardboard, right? And on top of it there is white clay. That becomes a clay board. Once, if you put black ink on top of it, it becomes a Scratchboard. So they sell it separately. This is a clay board. This is a Scratchboard. This one costs around $22 for a 3 by 2 feet board. This is cost $25. They charge $3 for the black ink on top of it. And most people use it because they don't want to color it. For me, because I have an airbrush, it's easier for me to put any color I want. and then I scratch on top of it. So this is a clay board. And if you can see, I mean, it kind of looks dark around the edges, but it's because I put darker, like a green and a brown on the sides. But I prefer clay boards more than scratch boards. But when I came here, I forgot to have a board, white clay board, which I already had the background on, and I didn't want to start 5 minutes just by doing the airbrush before I start, so I just started using a clay board, scratch board. Yeah, so this one is pretty easy. When I started off, I just did the background, which is like a lot of green.
Did you mask out the rooster? Is that a rooster?
No, I am too lazy for that anymore. So I used to do like precise drawings. I used to draw things out and mask it off and do the background and all. I don't do that anymore. I just do the whole board, and then I figure out, okay, this is what I'm going to draw, and I scratch out. I draw it on top of it with something. Then usually with my fiberglass brush, I draw the outline, and I just remove the ink inside that. So that I have the background there, and I don't have to do the masking tape. I can show you in like 5 minutes if you want. How do I do the background? Everybody thinks the background is difficult. It's pretty straightforward. Like the one I did for the chicken. I can do the same background for anything practically using my airbrush.
You must have taken some kind of art classes because you draw really well.
I used to do a lot of drawing when I was a kid, but like graphite and all, mostly to impress other kids and all, but then I never took it seriously. But no, never any art classes. I go for this shows, international Scratchboard shows, and there are people who do demos like that. That's one place to learn, but mostly what I've learned is self-taught, and there's no technique which teaches you coloring Scratchboard. So it's kind of a mixed by different sources. What you see for watercolor sometimes apply to it. Like it's diluted ink, right? Watercolor also, and acrylics comes to a picture, and then you use the scratchboarding technique, and it all works out together.
Pretty soft.
Yeah, basically backgrounds are very easy to do with if you have an airbrush. Huh?
What color was your third color? What's the,
Oh, this is just green and yellow. That's all the colors I've used.
okay.
You know what you're gonna put on this board, right?
No. But this is a background that fits everything. I can put any kind of animal in there, and I usually do just animals on my colored boards. I can put any kind of animal in there. It works out because it's just green background. Or if I want, I'll just put some blue also in there. Or I can just put black ink on top of it and use it as a scratch board. So, it doesn't matter for me. Put some dark colors on the edges. Maybe a little bit of brown. I have 5 more minutes. And yeah, I'm happy with the background. So I can draw anything on top of it, and if I want, I can add more color or something on it. I prefer to have the edges darker. That gives you a better effect. So the sides or the and something in the middle should be lighter. That's somehow I like it better that way. I don't know if it's the right art thingy, but it works out for me. Oh, and not every Scratchboard artists are that fast. I am faster because I think I did, mostly because of that one day drawing that I did. And I did, like I said earlier, 2016, I had to do one every day, and I couldn't afford to use the knife anymore because that takes a lot of time. So I went with all the shortcuts, whatever I can do to finish something. And some days I have only 30 minutes to finish something because I'm tired from work and I don't have time. So I take shortcuts, and that's why I became so fast. I don't care about being so detailed in the initial stages like the understudy. I don't spend too much time, so I've learned a lot of tricks along the way to make it faster. Okay, I guess that's it. Any questions?